Yeah,
He's
of
awesome.
course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're on.
So part of the food reduction.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today's Thursday, December 29th, 2022, and we're here for a work session. And as always, we're gonna start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Frank, take the lead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. Next, on behalf of the town board, the employees of the town of Riverhead, the men and women of the Riverhead Police Department, we wish to extend our condolences and best wishes for full recovery to the Suffolk County police officers who were injured yesterday in a horrific stabbing while on the job. They were protecting the citizens of Suffolk County. Please keep these officers, their families, and their fellow officers in your prayers. As a reminder to all, we are observing the New Year holiday. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, January 2nd, 2023, and it's going to reopen on Tuesday, January 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Moving on to our first discussion for today, I'd like to invite up Dawn Thomas and members of the Environmental Committee to come forward to discuss matters surrounding food waste, composting, recycling initiative. Welcome, everyone. And Frank, you also might want to be part of this conversation. And,
It's their committee, I'm just here to help, and they've been doing a great job.
Okay.
And Frank is our liaison, and I
Yes.
think, Ken, you're our liaison to the DEC. Surprise! Okay. So, we've got a lot of ties here, and the DEC is driving, oh, there she is, good deal. You want to start, or do you want me to keep going? Yeah, thanks a lot, yeah, quiet, Hogner.
Keep going.
Yeah, all right. Part of what's driving, the big thing that's actually driving us, the limiting factor, is the fact that the last two landfills on Long Island are closing in 24 months, 100 weeks. So everything we create is going to have to either be burned, which they're increasing the burn rate in the Fort Covanta facilities right now, and the C&D, the construction and demolition, 25% of our solid waste stream is going to have to be railed or trucked off the island. There's nothing else to do with it. We haven't thought of things to do with it. We haven't thought of recovery, we haven't thought of reuse, or creating things that could be reused at the end of their life cycle, but that's a different discussion. The big thing that we're looking at, however, is the idea that food scraps are about a third, 25 or 30% of some of the waste streams, in combination with the browns, which is all the leaves we fight about all the time, which I really, really want, so we can mix them. The idea is to create something that's actually saleable, something like a Peconic biomix, and something that would be safe. There's not going to be any PFAS in this stuff. So part of the thing is, of course, is collecting it all, collecting it. Yeah.
Mark, can I just interrupt you 1 second? Can you introduce the topic, like composting, what it
Okay.
is? Because you went
Okay.
right into the mechanics.
Yeah, of course.
And there are some public that's watching, and they're gonna say, okay, they're gonna
What is
close
wrong with
where
that
we're
man?
talking about.
Got
So
it.
maybe introduce the topic, and,
Yes.
if you don't mind, and then continue.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
yeah, rein me in. So the idea is that we've got food scraps that come out of our houses and our businesses, and our idea is that we need to grab those and recover them and turn them into something valuable, which they are. They're a resource, they're not waste. So changing that mindset is the first thing we're doing, and the recovery, diverting it from the waste stream is one of the most important things. Get it out of the incinerators, get it out of the landfills, get it out of the trucks. The next thing is to recover it, pick it up at your curbside, either pick it up there or have a central repository for it, which Beth is going to talk about today, or turn it back into compost on a farm, small, medium, large farms, a composting operation perhaps. But to create a valuable product from this waste stream, which it's not, it's a resource recovery.
And I'm gonna interrupt, did you
Yeah.
talk about the program that you've already completed?
Nope.
That you should, I think, definitely.
Okay.
Make sure everybody hears, because that's a really great thing.
Okay, thank you. Go on. The idea is that recovery comes from either residences or from institutional, commercial, industrial, restaurants, hotels, government operations.
Hospitals.
Hospitals, K through 12. We just got the word from the CLCPA people that they have a timeline for all of these now. so that they're gonna leave residential to last, because it's the hardest thing to do, right? You got 36,000 people in this town that have gotta scrape their plates, right? That is what we're involved with. It's the heavy lift, it's 70% of that amount. It's the most that we can recover. It's the hardest thing to do, is get 36,000 people to change their behavior to get that done. But that's where the heavy lift is, and that's what we're going after. The restaurants perhaps, but the back of house where it's just the greens, it's not the broken plates and the silverware and the ballet shoes that wind up in the bin. We can't bother with that, right? Let that go somewhere else. Does that cover it?
Well, the program that you already done.
So we started, back on track, thank you. We picked up from 10 households and 3 restaurants over 90 days. It was a phenomenal amount. It was a ton, it was 2,000 pounds. And that doesn't look like much. If you look at what 2 tons of something, wet stuff looks like, it's only 3 yards. It's only 3 cubic yards. It would fit under this table. So it's not a large volume. We're not dealing with, like hundreds and thousands of cubic anything, right? So it takes up very low, minimum amount of space. So we did that. We collected in the green buckets. We enlisted our engineering department. So Drew Dillingham is intimately involved with this, as is Jason Blizzard, his assistant. It was very easy right now. We don't intend for the town to be doing this job, so don't get that wrong. We just wanted to get the pilot going to see what our numbers would be. And this opens the opportunity for other businesses, small businesses. The gated communities are gonna need to be treated differently than the town, the residences. Southold is not gonna look like ours. They've got pay-as-you-throw, they've got yellow bag people going to, yellow bag people. They have people who take their yellow bags to the transfer station. The other half uses carters. They don't have districts, so 3 trucks will go down the same street, picking up from 6 houses, from different companies. We have districts with the same trucks going to the same houses. All of this is gonna be part of the discussion. There's no one size fits one. We're not gonna come up with a regional plan that is good for every one of the 16 planning units for Nassau and Suffolk. It's not gonna happen, and it shouldn't, right? So that's why we're here.
So I would just say that what was done as the pilot program.
Dawn, you gotta just look to
The pilot program that Mark and his teammates created was a all-volunteer, amazing effort to start something really good for Riverhead. So I just commend them, and I just think it's important that the board and the public know that that's what happened. It wasn't just somebody said, the town said, do this. They said, let's do this, and they did it. And it was the start of something that I think could be, really, groundbreaking in this area for a town like Riverhead. So I just wanted
No,
to-
thank you for
so, yeah,
making
no,
one
really.
sentence out of my 10. So we're excited. So there are people who are sending their scraps, there are people receiving the scraps, whether it's your household, your restaurant, or your farm, or your backyard. Those are all the senders and receivers. The transportation part in the middle is what we're struggling with all the time. How do we get it from here to here? And one of the things that, we took a trip up to Scarsdale a couple of years back, and they've got a municipal collection spot. No fuss, no muss. Guys peek out the booth to make sure everybody's just dropping their green bags in there. It's very simple. And this is how we got Beth involved. She's part of the Long Island Organics Council. How am I doing? All right, and she's got Francesca with her as an aide, and this is why we're here today. Go.
My turn?
You.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Finally.
Okay. Hi, thank you for having us here today. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just read so I don't forget anything. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the director of a nonprofit organization called Green Inside and Out. And after learning about the issue of food waste being a major issue in terms of both solid waste and as a source of greenhouse gas emissions, back in 2020, myself and 3 others, and Judy Greco, she's on our team, she's on the phone, we contacted the New York State Organics Council, which is through NYSAR, the New York State Association of Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. And we were trying to find out what we could do to help address the problem. So they said, why don't you form a group out there on Long Island? So out of that, we formed a steering committee and formed the Long Island Organics Council. So since then, the Organics Council has been hosting bi-monthly meetings and other events, and we attend meetings of the New York State Organics Council, and I attended last year their New York State Organic Summit up in Albany to learn about what's happening elsewhere, and there's a lot, which is exciting. So earlier this year, we applied for and won a grant from the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute. It's out of RIT upstate. And the project is entitled Food Scrap Recycle Long Island, and it's modeled after similar successful programs established in Westchester, like the one in Scarsdale. So the team will work, our team, it's myself, Judy, and Francesca, will work with the municipality to identify an appropriate food scrap recycling drop-off site where residents can bring their food scraps, because not everyone wants to do backyard composting, although that's fun. And the idea would be to have the scraps taken to a facility such as a farm, which we have out here, for composting. The project includes an education campaign for residents to explain the importance of food scrap recycling and how to properly do it in terms of, what goes into the bin and what doesn't. And if successful, a food scrap recycling program would be the first such program on Long Island, as no Long Island municipality has yet done so, though New York City and multiple townships upstate have been doing it for several years. So you guys would be pioneering, which I love. The grant is for $20,000, about 15 of which is dedicated to our staff time, just for us to work several hours per week. And just under about $5,000 is for the township to purchase up to 15 65-gallon bins that lock tightly, and they can be put on a truck and hauled off-site. Also for 4 cases of liners for the bins, so it's just easier to take them out, compostable of course, and 1 metal municipal sign designating the drop-off site with some basic sorting information. And we could also discuss other configurations of that, if need be, like if we wanted to have 2 drop-off sites. But our organization's role is to assist the town as necessary with identifying a suitable drop-off site, a site that will receive the scraps for composting. I know there's already been some inroads made there, and research on best options for affordable carting as needed as well. So we can also help provide information on the best bins, like we can talk to the towns upstate and see, which kinds of bins have been tried and true that they liked best, and learn from their mistakes as well. Our public outreach and education work would also cover at least 4 outreach events, like to civic groups or libraries or anything, events like Earth Day that the town might be having, have going on. And we'd also be creating a web page with information about the program in English and in Spanish as appropriate, and also any signage would be, in both languages as needed. As well as we would do some data collection from participants just to ensure success of our outreach and just see, like, are we getting through to people, and is it sticking with them? So we've already met, as Mark said, with the town's environmental advisory committee and some of the engineering team, like Drew Dillingham and Jason Blizzard, and Dawn's been very helpful. So we're looking forward to continuing to assist the town of Riverhead's endeavors to initiate more food scrap recycling. It's really exciting to see everything going on.
I think that tags over to us now. So one of the things that the grant will do, that Beth was discussing, is collection and information, but then we have to do the next piece, which is disposal. So that's a cost. And we were asked to see if there were, and the group, gave us some ideas about what grants might be out there. So we did some research. Frank did the research. And I think if you want to go over the parameters of the grant, but it's a good grant. Not all grants, every grant needs a match. Not all matches can be in kind, and so we had to make sure that the grant fits. And I think Frank's conclusion was that it's a nice fit. So you wanted to have.
The grants are available,
Frank,
on
get closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
This way, so you get picked up.
The grants are available on a rolling basis, so they're available till May 3rd of '24. The funding is 75%, 25%, so it would be a 25% match. You can't use any other federal or state grants as a match, but you can use volunteer hours. So that's an acceptable match for the grant. We can do up to 15% of the total project in engineering costs. So, we feel like this is a good fit
And
for
this,
this project.
this is through DEC?
Yeah, through DEC.
It's called Municipal Food Scrap Recycling Initiatives Grant, so,
And the applicant would be the town of Riverhead.
yes.
You know, and the Climate Smart Communities is 50/50. This is a whole different set of grants, as I
Yes.
understand, it's the only ones I know. So I'm glad you're on that.
And this, you know, sometimes it's a one-shot deal, so then we have to think about, you know, this is a program that could be free year one, but, so for instance, but in this grant, doesn't have that problem. We can apply annually, like our pump-out boat and other things like that, those environmental, those, you know, waste initiatives really seem to, and our STOP program, and those are other grants that we just get every single year on an ongoing basis. So we think that we could continue to seek funding, and I'm sure there's gonna be more funding coming down the pike for this type of stuff,
Yeah,
because,
EPA is talking
yeah,
big
because the
right now,
state
too.
law has changed, and it's gonna require, so, you know, it's
So,
hard to do
so
that.
if I'm clear, so Beth has $20,000 in hand, yes? In hand, yes, no commitments from us, but it also doesn't match, we can't use it as a match because it's a state funded grant.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
but so
you
it's a standalone program, right? It'd be a pilot program, a very small pilot program, very easily controlled, not a lot of hours required from Drew and Jason. And we can make it what we want. I'm more excited about not just the drop-off and people getting educated, informed, and active in this, but that we can use this as a template for other programs.
Mark, have you spoken to Peconic Hospital, Peconic Bay Medical?
No, we haven't
Because they
started
would
with the
be a
hospitals
good-
yet.
And also, I was thinking of the Hyatt Hotel, because those are high food consumption locations here in Riverhead, and that
Yeah.
might be something that you might want to speak to them about and
Yeah.
consider them. And the other thing
Yep.
is, Brookhaven started something where have you spoken to Brookhaven Township?
No, not yet.
They recently started providing containers for food scrap.
Yes.
Yeah, so you might want, I don't know the extent of it, I remember
Yeah.
seeing,
Yeah, there was a picture of stacked green buckets, I was very excited.
okay, right, so maybe it's that, might
Christmas for Mark.
gather some ideas from them and, you know,
Yeah, let me
Work with them.
take off on the Hyatt thing. We've got 8 large generators that have been identified by we get a spreadsheet, and the 8 large generators, meaning 2 tons a week, the Hyatt, the college, the Hilton Garden Inn, Best
the
Foods.
culinary center.
They are a government organization, so they're not included yet.
Oh, okay.
East Wind Catering Hall.
Yes,
Yes.
East Wind just showed up. It wasn't on the list last year, but it is this year. They caught up with them. Splish Splash, Mavilla Foods,
Yeah.
Walmart. So in a lot of cases, we don't want what they have, because we talked about front of house. I don't want the catering mess. All right, it's just not what we need right now. So
Right,
we're
sure.
focusing on residential and back of house restaurant, hospital will go to the hospitals. The CLCPA, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, just stated that we are doing 2 ton per week establishments this year, last year, 2022. We're gonna be moving to medium generators this year in 2023, which is, or 2024 rather. For next year, we're gonna be doing 1 ton a week. The year after, they're going after a half a ton a week. Then they're gonna go through the hospitals, the nursing homes, and then into the schools, and then finally residential. I want us ahead of all that. We can't wait till 2028 to get started with this, it's just too much.
Right.
So if we get ahead of this thing, we're asking for grants, we know there's money out there. Climate Smart Communities things, we've got at least 8 programs that we can develop that'll be qualifying for these grants, so we're working with Dawn on that. I'm not the money guy, obviously.
So I think a collection point works, because I just think there's no financially feasible way, you know, to add another district route or anything
Right.
around the town to pick it up for such a small amount that's
Right.
gonna be collected.
Yep.
So now you have a central receiving point, which works, but where does it go from there? So how will you, tell me about how you're disposing it when you get it?
Yeah, so that's something we'd have to develop, but it seems like there's been some inroads made with some farmers that would be willing to take it and use it to make compost, which is great. Ideally, it will be made into soil.
We've got actually the Roanoke Lavender Farm, Jim and Kelly Maris jumped on with us right away. And they were taking 1 delivery a week from Drew and Jason. And Mark Bridgen from Cornell Farm signed on right away, within minutes. Takwi and I went over there, and he said, yeah, this is great. set the farm, set an area. Guys, you gotta know, this is not a lot of volume. It's not a lot of space, and when the newspaper got over there, they said, well, where's the pile? Well, the pile was already under the browns that they had been mixing in. It was already taken care of.
Yeah, I set up a meeting with Mark in the Long Island Farm Bureau. I'm sure that you got some feedback at that point.
Yeah, we did, yep.
Because that's ultimately where it's designed to land on one of the farms, right?
Yeah, it would take the volume. yeah.
Is the waste processed first, like how are we getting, because I think most typically you're gonna see is pork chop bones, steak bones, and other things, and, you know,
Right.
the eggshells and things like that, are
We
they
like
being
the shell.
processed or at all?
like the chills.
We like the coffee grinds. No, we don't like citrus. It's not appropriate for the soil here, but at some point, we can't be that fussy, all right? There are good, we worked with 5 farms in Southold for that project. Treber, 8 Hands, on down the line. And some of them they had their rules. No pork chop bones, because when we go through with our seed driller, it breaks the seed drill. Well, you know, I wouldn't know this, and this is why we involve the farmers. Like, what would be the detriment? What would be the good things? What do you need? And actually, what I'm hearing from your group is that we don't even want the raw stuff. We want you to process it and bring it back as finished product. So we're trying to work that, but it's gonna be everything, people. It's gonna be everything. It's gonna be a farm that's gonna take the raw stuff at a ton a week.
I'm just curious about 8 Hands, because Tom and Carol are friends of mine.
Uh-huh.
What, they have livestock there as well,
Right,
so
right.
was any of it able to be repurposed as food again for the?
Yeah, they start with the animals.
Right.
So if you feed yourself, you feed other people. So one of the Climate Smart Community, one of the DEC laws is that these large generators, and next year the medium and then the small, have to donate edible food to the population first. It's not like, let's get it, you know, let's burn it first. It's not, that's the last thing you wanna do with food
Right,
scraps.
right.
So you wanna bring it to the food banks, the soup kitchens, and all of the outreach programs. They're required to do that right now by law. And that doesn't have to be a 25-mile limit. If we don't have a compost processor within 25 miles, they don't have to do that part of it. But they all have to make sure that people are fed first. So the next thing down is animals, right? So Treber was spreading it out for the chickens for 2 to 3 days, and then mixing it. And he didn't care about the bones because he doesn't have a seed drill. So everybody's demands, their requirements, their barriers are gonna be different, and we're certainly aware of that. So I know we're not gonna be able to have people pulling their pork chop bones out of their house, right? So we're gonna have to have that as, okay, this farm won't take this, but this farm will.
Yeah, it depends
So-
on the endpoint, so that
So the
we can
endpoints-
incorporate into our education.
So the end point is farmers,
Yep.
so you get some, so how are you getting it to the farmers? Are they coming by, are they
The white
picking it
truck.
up, or what?
Oh, for the
what's our-
drop-off,
What's
Right.
our transportation mode? So
Right.
once you receive it,
Right.
how are you getting it to the farmers?
Yeah, so actually, that's gonna be part of what we have to work on
Yeah.
with the engineers. I mean, I think
And
we
the
have
co-
some
the
idea
cost.
in terms of carting, but it has to be developed more, and that's something we can help with.
The simple
Farmers will-
solution, Ken, was a landscape trailer, because all these toters, these 65-gallon toters,
Yeah, like
they weigh
this.
like 200 pounds when they're wet. I mean, if they're full and wet, they weigh, you know, you can't do this with them. And the machinery that does this with them breaks them. We found that out from talking to one of the other townships that have done this. So the easiest thing is to roll it onto a low ramp into a landscape trailer. And then we discovered that the cool thing about that is if you only want 1 or 2 of these things today, because that's all the manpower, all the equipment you have, or the time, then we just drop off 2 for you today. And we'll take the other 8 somewhere else. So we're trying to be as flexible as possible between sending, receiving, and transportation in between. We're trying to make all of these things work together. And we started talking about an app. So we talked about the app at the Farm Bureau. And the idea is that you could say, okay, I could take 5 buckets, I could take 5 toters. I could take 5 toters today. Or I can take them on Thursday at 2 o'clock. And start working with an app that starts calling these things in.
It's a great start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 tons, baby,
So-
we're off.
I have a question, Dawn, on the grant. So the 25% can be made up in volunteer hours?
Yes, well, and
So-
it can be made up of our work, like Drew and Jason's
Not
hour.
outside of the town?
It can be volunteer hours too. It can be all of the above. So that's a really nice thing because we're always cash poor and that, but we always volunteer rich, so this is good.
So how do they, what's the formula? So what's the grant, the total of the grant?
So we were kind of waiting to see what you thought we should ask for because
Okay.
you know, it's a 75-25, so we have to figure out what the amount of hours we can, and then how much you could, you know, what you need to do and how much that will cost. And then we can
Yeah, if you
afford-
ask for the sky and then our portion of the quarter of the sky we can't afford.
Well,
So
right,
guess
and we
what?
can't, you know, we can't be adding, you know, cash to it, so, but I think we have enough volunteer hours and things we can put together to make that match. It's just that what's the total max you feel like you could spend, or what it will cost?
Well, the reason
And
why
that's
I
a
bring
yearly
up.
basis, correct?
Yes,
Annual.
it's just
So
a
the
1
reason
year.
why I bring up volunteer hours, and I'm gonna address this to, the Long Island Organics Council, right? If you reach out to the libraries, to the school system, and get volunteers, right? And now, I think that you would get a lot of volunteers, especially from younger people. I wouldn't go for older people, I'd go for younger people. But, so, what's the volunteer hours and the money, how does that work? Like, what's the equation?
Well, it would be based off of the state minimum wage for volunteers, but if it was for field expertise or professional expertise, it would be deemed an entry-level position salary for
So the
those
engineering
particular.
portion would be entry level.
Yes,
How about
Otherwise, it's-
Cornell's involvement? Would that apply to that as well? Cornell Cooperative Extension?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know that.
Haven't thought that far.
It might,
It's just
because
like,
it is
you know,
I think it's a 501c3.
yeah, that would depend on whether they would consider that a state entity, I guess.
That-
So
yeah, that might-
that's a limitation on the
And
match.
is mulching part of the volunteer hours? I mean, just picking up food and dumping it in the road,
Mixing, yeah.
right, doesn't make me, but is mulching part of the volunteer hours? Because that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would think, because that's where the labor is.
And
You got a
that's-
3-bin system and you gotta move it somehow.
And you know, you're going full circle.
Yeah, I don't think we have a shortage of volunteer hours that we could use. We just need to
Yeah.
figure out the amount that you wanna get to do that other half, the disposal half.
Yep.
So that's,
So Mark, I'm sorry, but you had mentioned 10 households, 3 restaurants, 1 ton. What was the time frame on that?
90 days. And it was 2 tons.
What was,
Included the senior center.
Yeah, the senior center was the government portion, so there's residential, there's ICI, which is the industrial, commercial, institutional, and then there's government. And Jason said, oh, why don't we just pick up from the senior center, because they've got a kitchen, they got lunches and meals on wheels. Like, so that's a line item all by itself on the climate smart community, so we knocked out 3 points just for his idea. You don't necessarily need to ask for money for everything that we're doing. We can qualify for these points for the climate smart communities just by doing these projects and documenting them and sending them up. We already did 80 points in energy. The
Well, you were
building,
telling me you got points for Mike Reichel's stuff over in the sewer department, right?
we should, I don't know if they did already, Frank.
Okay.
That might be something that Ken Testa worked on with,
But that would go towards the climate smart.
That's correct,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
We're
that's
looking
good
for,
stuff, yeah.
water's gonna be part of this, and materials management, we didn't get into C&D yet. I mean, there's a lot of places we can go with this and start gathering, I don't know, credibility. Let's go with the creds. First on Long Island, guys.
have you
First,
spoken to any of the single stream recycling places?
yes,
And what do
Southold went single stream, and there was a lot of confusion on the ground about that. How could this be easier? We're hearing from the population, how could this be better? You put your cardboard and your bottles and your cans together, and then they sort it out at the other end? We're in double stream, we're in dual stream. Who's my help here? I need help here. We're in a dual stream, I think. We do cardboard 1 week, and we do the other 3 on the following week. I need your son here right now. He's help me.
I can tell you about it.
Oh, you hear about it at home, right?
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah, so we're still, and that was only like reinstituted like in the last few years. I mean, we haven't even got recycling figured out, people. It's like 15% of our recycling rate, right? 15% is what we're recycling in this town. It's like, ow. So part of the point is that what Beth and her crew are bringing with us, to us, is the ability to take these programs and push them out into a different substance, into a different material. We can take the same educational model and move it into cans and bottles. We can move it into fabric. We can move it into C&D. We can move it into all of the, whatever we're throwing away. Household waste is gonna be 5 pounds per person per day this year. It's a lot, it's millions of tons, right? Oh, and the ash that comes back is another 370,000 tons a year. And with these landfills closing, this stuff's gotta go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, right? So our costs are gonna go through the roof very soon. I wanna be ahead of that.
Yeah, they are. There's no question there.
So we could take a third off of that load, this is what we're here for today.
And the fashion industry is the highest polluter in the world.
Beth wrote a book on it.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I wrote a book called The Green Wardrobe Guide. I'll give you a copy.
I'll share, I'll share
Not
with
signed,
you,
don't give it to him signed.
I'll share with you after this a documentary that's just been completed on this,
Oh, wow.
right, so,
Yeah,
it's, do you know what a pyrolyzer is?
not yet.
Okay, so,
You're open though.
no, I'm gonna send you information on it, because you talked about C&D, right?
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
it's doing is basically burning wood, taking that smoke, converting it into diesel. It did it, somebody I know funded it in Stony Brook.
Louder.
Oh.
You're violating your own
Oh,
rules.
sorry. Somebody. Financed it in Stony Brook, the state's now approved it, and it's not, it's, everything to Riverhead, you talk about technology is new, so everybody freaks out, okay, but they're doing it in other parts of the world. We just we need to catch up and catch up quick. It's not like Frankenstein is here.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the thing too, Bob, what we're doing is, every time, you know what, I gotta say, I did a Leave the Leave thing, I was running at that a couple of years back, and I called some small village upstate, and the young guy in the engineering department said, you know what, yes, I'd love to help you because we have the Leave the Leaves program already done. But what happened was he had 3,000 postcards made up, he went to a town hall meeting, town board, decision-making process thingy, and they said, oh, he says, we're gonna run these out tomorrow to our 3,000 residents. They said, oh, we don't wanna do that. So he's sitting there with 3,000 cards in a box for Vistaprint or whatever. And I said, well, they're really beautiful. He says, you wanna use them? He says, take the graphics, I'll send the JPEG to you. So this is the kind of community that we work with. So we call Scarsdale, we talk to, you know, the people up there. They're very, very helpful. Everybody wants to get this done right, and we're in the right place at the right time to do that.
Can you also get the word out on wet carpet? When it's raining, people shouldn't put their cardboard out, because all they're doing is increasing tipping fees, and it also makes it a lot harder to recycle, if it's recyclable at all.
Yeah, so, yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's
It drops the value down.
It really does, and I think that's really important, and
Yeah.
you gotta keep, getting on about people mulching their leaves, because this leaf pickup stuff is stupid. When it comes, I shouldn't use that word, but you know better than I, so, you know, how important, you know, if you mulch your leaves, how good that is for your lawn, et
And
cetera,
in some
right?
places, it's even better to leave them whole, because the insects that need them over winter,
Yeah.
they need that whole leaf to eat when they wake up, right? Who knew?
Now I'm gonna get crashed for saying the word stupid, okay, I accept.
So, again, you know, some people want their leaves picked up, some will mulch. The landscape, we're involved with the landscaping, community. Who was talking about that yesterday?
But it's just part of the whole education
Yeah.
process, period,
Yeah.
you know, that's
Yeah.
all.
Oh, that's right, it was on Al Krupski's call. We talked about the landscapers and the irrigation company, we talked to Frank Lancini yesterday. You know, the irrigation, let's talk about this most sensible use of our water, I mean, but it's
Time of day.
education. Education, awareness, and then behavior change.
We also talked about what they're doing in Belgium with food scraps, right? They offered everybody who wanted it a chicken coop, and they can feed their food scraps to chickens, and hundreds of people took advantage of that. Smart move.
Yeah, well, the free green buckets, I mean, North Hempstead Town had done this 22 years ago. I went to a meeting over at Malloy, and the Hempstead supervisor got up and said, he said, I thought I was making the worst political decision in my life. I bought 10,000 green countertop buckets at $3 a piece, and I think, he said, my career is over for $30,000, because we're never gonna get rid of these. He said, they're gone in 3 days. As soon as they announced it, people, this was 22 years ago, all right? So then he bought another 10,000, but it took him 6 weeks to get rid of them. They didn't do it again, but the point is that people want to do this, right? Make it easy, make it clean. I know the rats, we know all that. So we're staying ahead, like the lockable toters. they're gamma sealed, they're just, and they have a lock on them, so nobody can climb in there and drown or pick out grapefruits or whatever, so, right?
Don't they have the home units too for food recycling?
Yeah.
Countertop, yep. We're working with with East Hampton right now on a pilot program for that.
Great.
Well, guys.
So what do we need? We need a resolution.
The resolution's in the packet, it just
Okay.
has blanks for the dollars, so we need to know what you want us to ask for dollars.
Oh, so we just need a resolution for Beth's, Beth project, just the resolution itself, we've already written that up. So
Oh,
that's a
that
copy
was-
and
I have a
paste, right?
draft of that that
Yes,
we need.
did you sent that to?
Yes, I
us.
sent
We
it to
put
you.
I
that
can send
in-
it again.
we
It
put
just
that-
basically says, yes, we'd like to work
It's
with
in
you.
the packet.
That's really it.
It shows us without permission.
It should be in the packet,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no
Right.
money involved with taking advantage of this program from Beth.
yeah, that's,
Yeah,
It's
so we
already
can take it
prepaid.
back to our
Okay, so if we
funder and say,
voted on
yes,
Tuesday,
you know.
Okay,
just so you know.
cool, all right.
and then
Can you
we
make sure
need an
that-
authorization for the grant to be written. So that's our town policy, we need board authorization, so I need to know a dollar amount
Okay.
from you guys, so
All
let
right,
us
can you
know.
work with Dawn on that? And then
And-
Dawn, you'll get the,
Oh, yeah,
this thing to them?
yep, everything.
And I would like to see volunteer hours used, and not so much of our town employees, but, you know,
No,
civics, et cetera, et cetera.
Really.
Yeah, I think you have plenty of volunteers, I don't think
Yeah.
you're gonna have trouble making those numbers.
Yeah, the civics is our tie to the people, really, that's how we integrate, right? It's not gonna be NFPC, because we don't have a volunteer base, right?
And
So-
hopefully the civics will start engaging with more businesses and
Yes.
include them in
Yeah.
their groups.
We have.
And then, you know, that will be helpful.
Bean and Bagel jumped all over it. Got a Guy Pizza, who was the third one? Oh, Lucharitos, oh my God, Mark Lamina. I mean,
Yeah,
every
right.
time we ask him for the last 5 years to do something, plastic reduction or composting, he was all over it. So we have local businesses that are very much aware.
I'm sure you're gonna have more.
Yeah, oh yeah, once the word gets out, and let that community talk to that community and get this thing going.
And they
right?
talk.
Yes, they do, yeah, they do,
You might wanna go before the Business Advisory Committee,
yeah, okay.
right? Because you get,
Yeah, that's true.
that's a good,
Oh, more to do,
So what
Just what's needed.
What has Drew's Insight said about this project? Does he have the equipment and so forth to transport this and maneuver things around?
Yeah, I
we do,
think
Ken. We're
they're-
not talking about large
They're
volumes.
excited about, I think they're excited about being part of it, and, you know, I don't wanna speak for them, but they, you know, they're ready for whatever is next, so.
Yeah.
So how do you captivate it, like, to avoid like vermin and rats, mice,
lockable
things like that?
toads.
So it-
Raccoons.
Yeah, all these things, so at the collection point, so just tell me a little bit more about the collection point and where do you think it's gonna be located? So you don't wanna
Sure.
put it next to somebody's house and then we have, you know, any.
Oh, it's next to yours, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So tell me, I'd like to hear a little bit about more, so you're gonna collect it?
Sure, yeah.
What is it
so-
going into, how is it secured before it's ready to get transported?
Yeah, so upstate, what they did in Scarsdale and Greenberg, they were sort of the pioneer. Now they have a bunch of different villages up there that are doing the same thing. So they bought these 65-gallon toters that lock, and they've tried a few, so we know which ones they're using that work.
Okay,
So it's basically, once one is filled, then you shut it and, you know, put it to the side. So where
Okay.
they were putting it was even like in town hall parking lots, because they, you know, they make sure they don't smell or anything like that. And then there's just the sign that says, here's the drop-off site, here's what goes in it and doesn't go in it. And then, you know, they're brought to a facility. Upstate, they have, I think, I don't know if it's an anaerobic digester they use or whatever, so. that's
Yeah,
basically
Scarsdale
it.
picks it up from their, it's the transfer station. They have book drop for used books to be reused, eyeglasses, furniture, take it or leave it, and the food drop off. And they only put one bucket out, so that's all
At a
people are
time.
able to use. There's somebody inside the booth looking out, making sure everything's cool. They're not going to, you know, the other 17 toters on wheels. And then the carter comes and picks it up and takes it to a compost processing place. So the municipality doesn't even deal with it after they close it, they're done.
Right.
And so you were talking about maybe like Young's Avenue as a location.
That's
The engineering yard, you mean?
The dog
Yeah, next to it.
shelter.
Oh, the dog shelter, that's what you were talking about?
Oh, the dog
Okay, all right, all right.
yeah, that was presented, somebody just sent me a note that that might be a good idea.
Oh, because we've got
Where the animal shelter is, the
yeah,
location,
we've got
and the yard
leaves,
waste.
and we've got the, and the e-waste we've got there. Oh, $660 a ton, by the way, for e-waste disposal.
so.
Ow. Yeah, we're starting to see these numbers going through the roof, all right? I mean, it's 95 for regular whatever right now, and if we pull a third of that out through food scraps, we'll be doing well.
Great work.
Just make sure that you consider the holidays, especially Thanksgiving. Make sure you have a lot of resources
That's
during
right,
that
no,
month.
you're right, absolutely
You know,
right.
you
Yeah,
have
it's
the.
seasonal, it is
Right,
totally
seasonal, and,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
people are here out east more often.
Yep.
Not as much as Southampton and
The summer
Southall.
crowd, the summer crowd that comes out, they don't follow the rules so good.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just all those things you have to consider throughout the whole year.
Kenny Jr. said that, he says he got back to work the other day at the Islip Murph, and he said the cardboard was to the ceiling because of the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 40-foot ceiling, this is
Well,
not my house.
he took my pickup truck fully loaded from our Christmas gifts along,
Yeah,
that was there,
right.
but I will tell you, like, my son has followed this since, I mean, when he was 10 years old, we bought him an electronic composter. I can tell you that there are no food scraps leaving our house, like, he puts it in these electric composters or what he had for a while, then it goes into a composting pile in the back of it where he continuously rotates it, and then we do have like above-ground gardens that are like 4 feet where it's mixed soil. And then we would pick up and mix in with soil. The Brookhaven landfill is excellent about giving out like their mulched material and so forth, and I would love to see that more available.
And we can
here
do
in
that here
Riverhead.
too. Just browns,
just-
browns plus
yeah.
greens, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity.
It's the best potting gardening soil
It is,
you can get,
it is.
like, it's great.
Yep.
But, I mean, he's been following that stuff, you know, since he was a little kid. And, you know,
Yeah.
in our house, we rinse every bottle of sauce and everything like that, because everything has a better value when it's clean and
That's
it goes
correct.
into the recycling containers, which people, you know, a lot of people don't understand. And like Bob says, that's our biggest problem, is that like right after Christmas and you have all these packages, we pray that it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
Because when it puts out to the curb, there's so much of it, and if it rains and gets wet, it's really the commodity itself, because that's what it is. It's destroyed during the process.
So Kenny and I
He
talked.
took us on a tour of the MRF.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right, yeah, right, it was pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Pictures. So, one of the things that Kenny and I have done, 3 times now to the Civics and to Windcrest East and so on, is take the trash talking Kenny, and he brings his bucket
Yeah.
and all of his junk,
Yep.
right? And we spill it out onto a big table, and we have a quiz, we have a training period and then a quiz.
Yep.
Is this recyclable, is this recyclable? And everybody goes, yeah, it's a 5. Oh, by the way, we're taking 5s now,
Yes.
we need to know that, all right? It came out, Drew put it into the flyer for the year, right? It says 1, 2, 5. So we need to educate people, and I would like to make it even simpler. I would love to say, if it's not a 1, 2, or 5, don't put it in the bucket. Don't tell me this is right and this is wrong, and just give me what I can put in here. I think we're gonna see some streamlining and some quality control just in that alone. So, but we do the trash talking thing, so the educational portion of this thing, we've already gotten points for,
Yeah.
right? So we have to send the documentation up, we got videos, we got pictures, we got flyers, but, and, you know, email, what do you call, attendance rosters, right? So we know how many people went to this thing, so we can support all this with documentation for the DEC. So, that's another fun thing.
My son did a great thing on CBS News a few weeks ago. They did like a 10-minute thing on recycling out there. So for those that don't know, he's the manager of the Murph facility, you know, for Winter Brothers. And, but
You
it's
shared it
all
with
about
us, and it was
commercial.
really cool.
Yeah, he's really coming a long way.
Yeah.
But that's,
Yeah, I wanted to, pardon?
We need to hear you as the work session is
Oh,
public.
sorry, I didn't want to.
Yeah, I was wondering why you weren't sitting up here.
Get closer to the mic, sit over there.
Oh, so to your son's efforts, when he presented to Calverton Civic, I was thinking to myself, you know, how do we identify those items, the 1, 2s, and 5s? It's pretty easy, but you wanna know what's happening now? The triangles are so small, you can't read into them, and typically they're 6s, or they don't have anything on them at all, they're hard plastic. So your son and I have a texting relationship. I take pictures of stuff that I find, and I say, is it recyclable or not? And then he answers it, but then he gives me an explanation and says, it's not for this reason, and this is what happens to it. It gets turned into these products. So that's something that's been ongoing since he presented. When did he present to the city? In the spring?
Yeah, March,
In the
April, yeah,
spring.
yeah.
So there's a compilation of information that's available to us to help educate. And he mentioned that it doesn't matter what number it is, if it's black, it can't go in because the reader can't read it. So so, and he said glass, is not, it's very sad that the market for glass is, dismal.
It's
So,
horrible. We gotta pay
we
to
don't
get
know
rid
that
of
as
it.
residents, like, I wish cycle, that was, you know, like, oh, I don't wanna throw it in the trash, I'll put it in there, let them figure that out.
Oh,
Or
garden
at least
hose,
it had
we'll
a
throw that
chance. Yeah, at least it'll have a chance to recycle, but, I've been getting educated on wish cycling makes more of a problem for folks, so that's part of the education we wanna bring forward.
Well, it looks like the state is gonna accept biochar fines, biochar mixing with asphalt, and I'm told that what's coming down the pike, if it hasn't happened already, they're gonna go back to, chopping up glass and using it
Yeah.
in roads.
Yeah,
So, that's, good news as well.
Yeah.
And also, if I didn't say it, the fines are gonna be used also as a base.
Wow.
So
Good.
that's huge. And they do that in other places, and New York is finally, finally going, oh.
One of the
There was
biggest,
there was a friction problem with the early glass and asphalt. So
Right.
they brought it down to 30-mile-an-hour or less roads. I mean, just to placate and still be able to do this thing, but I think they've done a lot of work since.
Yes.
Good, good.
Okay.
The
Great.
road should be concrete, you know it and I know it, because the reflection of the sun, the heat the roads are giving off is insane.
Yeah, the black top, right, yeah. It's
Big
awful.
part of global warming nobody
Yeah.
pays attention
Well, we
to.
draw it into our own region as well.
By the way, grass absorbs it. Just putting it out there.
There's a plug.
Mark, you touched briefly on what food scraps are or should include or not include. I was interested when you said no citrus. I mean, are there other things that we should know about that should or shouldn't be
Yeah,
put out
fat
as
oil
food
and
scraps?
grease. Yeah, fat oil and grease, they just make the soil just, I don't know if you've ever put grease in the soil, you're never gonna use it again, right? So we need to treat that
No
separately.
So
pet
fog,
litter.
oil,
No pet litter
Yeah,
either.
pet litter.
right, so fog is fat, oil, grease, and then no meat, no dairy.
Yeah,
So those are the 5 that we were running on in our pilot,
Right.
For the 90 days.
No meat and no dairy, you
Yes.
said?
Correct.
yeah.
It makes it the least complicated product to drop at a farm. But like Mark was saying, some farms are probably gonna want it if, they have livestock. So, not one size doesn't fit all.
That's what usually attracts the vermin, actually, more than
Yeah.
the plant-based stuff.
And since I've been composting, we've had no raccoons in my garbage cans, no dogs, no cats, no neighbors. We have nothing in our garbage cans. Well, no, we had to talk about this because we've got people dumpster diving for food. All right, so now we have a social discussion we have to have as well, all right? And I don't know who's tracking all these restaurants and everybody giving their food back to their food banks. We don't know yet, all right? So that may be another sub-project that we can start making sure that the right things go to the right places first, right? Lots to do. Thank you for your support.
Lots to do.
Yes.
Okay, so the 2 resolutions will go in
Yep.
and they'll be voted on
Thank
Tuesday, so if you wanna
Thank you.
come back and see it or watch it on Channel 22. And
Absolutely.
looks like you have a lot of work to do,
Yeah, we do.
but good start.
Yeah.
And,
if you're not seeing it come from our house, it's being used on the property.
This is lady across the street from me, she says, oh, look, Lydia, he's throwing away a computer, and she says, if he's throwing it away, it's worthless. So, thank you.
All right,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah, Happy New Year.
I have
All right, this is gonna conclude our discussions for today, and we're gonna move on to resolutions. Devin, can you please read the resolutions? Good morning.
Hit it, Deb. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't think the mic's on.
Okay, I think we're good now. Reappoints town historian.
Hi.
Resolution number 2, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Andrews Top Gun 5K run. Number 3, authorizes grant application to New York State DEC for municipal food scraps recycling initiative.
Can we just,
Number
like,
4,
Could pause 1 second, just,
Yep.
with like, things like Andrew's Top Gun, like how we, just 100% behind it, how are we protecting them with are they using the runways again, and what happens if the sale comes into play?
So the application, when they submitted it, they put pending sale.
Okay.
Just like racetrack, when the board approved it, it says pending sale, and as soon as, if that happens, then they know they can't go forward, and I think the fees were gonna be waived.
So in an effort to protect them, is there any open discussion with, for example, with 555 to make a commitment to allow some of these ones to go through, or what can
think
we
if
do on
the-
our part to best see this to fruition?
So once we see that there's the prospect of the sale going forward, then we could reach out to them. At the moment, it's just a contract, it's with the, IDA. I believe just recently they, obtained a new attorney. That has to take its process, and so it's gonna be a while, for it. But once it looks like we may go to closing, then I think at that time would be more appropriate. It is a private, entity, so they would have to
Yeah.
reach out.
But,
But
yeah.
same thing with Waste-Track.
But I wouldn't let that preclude the organizers talking to the IDA. The IDA might talk to 555, and 555 may say, yeah, that's fine, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I would, this way, because I don't know of an alternative space.
I think it would be great for us to at least have the discussion so that our potential buyer understands the importance of things such as this, as well as, we have two events up there. We also have a pilot that passed away, that has his event there each year. So I just want to I don't know whether we as a board can unite and perhaps generate a letter of some sort or something to 555 saying that we support these things, they're great community events, and we hope that they would consider to allow them to take place on this, providing it's, I don't foresee any construction or anything that's gonna take place on a runway that this in any way is going to happen, but I just hope that our potential buyer would understand the importance of these community projects, here, and so just as a thought, so I don't know whether we draft a letter or something like that to show unilateral support for things like Andrew's Top Gun, just putting it out there for conversation, but
It's a good thought.
it's a
It's a
great
good thought.
organization,
And the prospective buyers has to be responsive to the community, and for them to deny something like this
yeah.
would, if ever there's anything gonna be built there, it's gonna take 3 years from now for it to happen.
Or 5.
Or 5,
It's
depending
gonna
on,
be, it's
yeah.
gonna be a while, I think they know that.
So it's a good idea.
Yeah.
They are made aware. I don't think they're gonna give us a commitment because it's just a contract and we don't wanna,
Between this one and Deshaun Briggs,
Yeah,
was
that
the
was a
other
good
event.
one
It's just, I
And
really would
racetrack.
hope that they would still have the opportunity to continue doing
Yeah.
these two awesome events up
I'll
there.
reach
So
out
that's
to the
all.
IDA just to get a quick
Yes.
response.
Yep,
yes.
that'd be great.
That'd be great, thank you.
Sorry, Devin, thank you.
Okay. Resolution number 4 authorizes the supervisor to execute a municipal works license agreement with SESAC. Number 5 ratifies the promotion of a police officer to the position of Detective Grade 3. Number 6 approves salary increase for Network and System Specialist 2. Number 7 approves a salary increase for Legislative Secretary. Number 8 approves salary increase for a part-time office assistant. Number 9 approves salary increase for a part-time housing inspector. Number 10 approves salary increase for senior wastewater treatment plant operator 2. Number 11, promotion of a sewer district employee to wastewater treatment
I
plant.
just have a question. I wanna go back to number 7.
Okay.
This was a salary increase effective, wasn't this gonna be part of the budget? It was gonna be effective January 1st? Shouldn't this have? Because everybody else's increases have to be in this packet then. Bill, can you just help me out here as far as finances?
It's right there. It says-
Wasn't this in the budget?
Yes, it was one of the amending resolutions,
Okay,
one of the 8 amending resolutions.
so are we seeing everybody else's increase today?
So what you'll see
I
today.
thought this would have been part of the
It says effective January
No,
1.
what happens is, in the reorganization meeting, all of the set salaries for every board, every that fund, let's say highway and so forth, those are all contractual. So when that goes up because we have a contract or a step increase, those are all contractual and they're just listed. We don't need to
Okay,
have
that's
them
what I
separate.
wanted to get
This
to.
is separate because it's not part of that.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not contractual, and that's why it's a resolution. Just double checking, thank you.
I just have a question, in going through some of these salary increases, some of them are steps according to the contract, have been moved up or promoted up, but some of them are, and basically I'm looking at, it seems to be more like department head type things. Some of them are 3% raises, some of them are 4% raises, some of them are 5% raises. Who made that determination as to who got what and why?
Okay, so first on the department heads, because they don't have to go on the salary step, it's just a percentage.
Right.
And that's what either was requested or approved in the budget. Sometimes, they didn't all ask for the same amount, they may have asked for the same amount, but only gotten 4% instead of 5%. So, I can go through the notes if you want and talk to you later about what they requested versus what they received, but that's how that went.
But how was it determined who got what?
It's either what they asked for or what was put in the budget. So again, I have to look at my notes.
Or what was
because
in their budget also. So it was a combination of.
Okay,
Of
all right.
what they may have asked. Some said, well, I got one last year, but I'm taking on this, maybe I want another 3%. Is it in your budget?
And
all
everybody's
agree.
budget was different, so it promoted
And then
different.
we all agree, and then it's put into the budget.
Okay.
So, and there's detailed notes on every single
Okay.
one, so he keeps detailed notes.
That's fine, I was just curious how it came about.
Okay, I think we're up to number 11, promotion of a sewer district employee to wastewater treatment plant operator 2A. Number 12, approve salary increase for town building and planning administrator. Number 13, approve salary increase for superintendent of recreation. Number 14, approve salary increase for an accountant. Number 15, approve salary increase for an account clerk. Number 16, approve salary increase for a mini bus driver. Number 17, approve salary increase for a cook. Number 18, approves a salary increase for assistant town engineer. Number 19, approves a salary increase for town engineer. Number 20, approves a salary increase for tax cashier. Number 21, promotion of a sewer district employee to wastewater treatment plant operator 2A. Number 22, sets salaries of water district employees for the year 2023. Number 23, sets salaries of various boards for the year 2023. Number 24, sets salaries of street lighting district for the year 2023. Number 25, sets salaries of sewer scavenger waste district for the year 2023. Number 26, sets salaries of police officers of the year 2023. 27, sets salaries of...
Can I just, just take a moment, Devin?
Yes.
Eric, this resolution, number 23, it's setting the salaries. Do we do a resolution to reappoint board members that are up for reassignment? Is there a resolution? Excuse me? Okay, so, yeah, there's gonna probably be a couple of holdovers, and I haven't heard from some of these individuals to see if they wanna continue serving. So they'd have to let us know, and then we have to pull up, we have to create a resolution and bring it before the board. So, I just wanna know, does this resolution indicate that they're reappointed? It sets the salaries, as it says, correct? So they have to, whoever. Okay, so can we, I know that we're in the process of reorganizing, Eric, and you have a lot of work, so, we can just reappoint everybody, hopefully by February, we'll put in the resolution. They'll just be holdovers until we get the resolution in. That's fine, thank you.
So 26 was sets salaries of police officers for the year 2023. 27 sets salaries of highway department for the year 2023. 28 sets salaries of general town employees for the year 2023. 29 sets elected official salaries for 2023. Number 30, authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with DMB Engineers and Architects PC regarding a portion of the Town of Riverhead's stormwater management program. Number 31, extends bid for dense soda ash 58% under the bid for chemicals for Riverhead Sewer District. Number 32, authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for sewer chemicals. Number 33, appoints a financial advisor. Number 34, adopts 2022 investment policy. Number 35, establishes standard workday for elected and appointed official. Number 36, schedules a public hearing and authorizes town clerk to publish and post a public notice of public hearing to consider a local law imposing a 6-month moratorium on the development of properties located within the Industrial A, B, and Industrial C zoning use districts within the hamlet of Calverton, zip code 11933, within the town of Riverhead. Number 37, appoints official newspaper for the town of Riverhead. And number 38, authorizes supervisor to sign license agreement with Dress for Success Brookhaven, Inc.
I think we're gonna have to make an amendment, because I think they're opening up a satellite office, so it's gonna be Riverhead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. I
Yeah,
understand they're
can
looking
we
to
agree
come
to make
somewhere.
that amendment?
Yeah.
Because they have some ARPA funding, and they're gonna be working out of here, so they can just, be part of us. So can we just make sure that amendment, do we agree, Frank, to make it Riverhead instead of Brookhaven? We have an agreement on that? And I assigned,
Well, that-
Bob Kern to be the liaison with them. Well, just Brookhaven, Dress for Success, put in, instead of Brookhaven, Riverhead. Their offices are gonna be located here. They're gonna have an
Well,
office
that's
here.
the name of their organization.
Right, but that's Brookhaven, but the.
No,
No,
I think he's
is
saying that that's their legal name. is
Right,
in Brookhaven.
that's the name of their organization.
So can you put / Riverhead, because they're gonna be here?
If they change their name to that.
Is that the, okay.
I don't think they're
They're
changing the name's
called
important.
Brookhaven,
They're gonna
Inc.
have a satellite office in Riverhead.
Well, they're an international company, so they, wherever they're located, they pick up that name.
But
They're all
here,
over the
their-
world.
Their legal name is
Right.
Oh, okay.
agreement with Success Inc., Success Brookhaven Inc.
Satellite office,
Can you wanna check into that for
yeah,
them?
they can do a
Give 'em a call.
DBA, or
Yeah, can
not
you-
necessarily, but,
If that's what they're doing, but for
Right.
purposes of, contractual issues, it should be.
Okay, you'll look into that. He's the liaison, so, great. I don't see the workplace violence. What happened to the workplace violence? That plan has to be in effect. All right, we're gonna have to add it to the packet, because that's long overdue. Everybody agree?
yeah.
We need to add that in, and there's a couple of other plans that we, by, legally, as government entities, that we have to have, and I see that we're lacking in certain areas. So we'll, reach out to Ashley and ensure that that becomes part of the next, for Tuesday. Okay, anything else, anyone?
Do we have to read the CDA resolution?
No, I think
Not
we're.
at work session, no.
No, All right, thank you, everyone. This is gonna conclude our open session portion of our work session here today, and in a moment, I'm gonna ask to go, for a first and a second to go into executive session to discuss the following: litigation, matters surrounding litigation between Town of Riverhead and Judith Lee. And, the second matter is contractual, matters surrounding changes to agreement with Pro Champs, and that will be both with our town attorney, Howard. Can I please have a first and a second to go into executive
So
session?
moved.
All opposed?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Please be safe, and I hope you have a great new year, and we'll see you beginning of January. Be safe.